To the ocean, like the song, God bless America, my home, sweet home.
It may not be an altogether black Christmas here in Milwaukee this year. The efforts of the Negro Deacons for Defense and the White Citizens Committee may help somewhat, and the fear that is here may subside before Christmas. But already much of the economic damage has been done. And so for many Milwaukeeans, black and white, Christmas 1967 may be one they would just as soon forget. Don Farmer, ABC News, Milwaukee.
They was told not to ride in Patty's hearse and stay out of Charles' mansion. Took Abraham's Lincoln through the Tar Bridge expansion. Willis reads a map that marked the spot showing. On his left, George burns a blunt, Williams holding. Tara banked the money that Shaka Khan for. Alicia keyed his car for giving Melba more. For the Red Fox, she bought up the block and thought twice as Deborah cocked the gun cause she beat Kelly's price when Rosa parked the truck on the farm in Kim Fields. Linda tripped for trying to walk in Lawrence Hills. Water dripped out of Ferris Fawcett in the glass. She was super fly, Curtis Mayfield her ass. Chris Tucker to a show, Ted Turner to a hoe. Robert Dix the beat, but ain't feeling the flow. But he signed fast for half of Johnny's cash. Nia Long for the album to drop. Cameras flash, Tom Sawyer at the Lucille Ball up in the foyer. He confronted Richard prior to hiring his lawyer. Suge's Knight, he moved the Rook off the board. Don King was checked and Al Sharpton his sword. The Saints marched in, Curtis blowing his horn. Tom cruised the boulevard, Chris rocked the song. For the 100th time, they pressed rewind to the beginning. They toast to the rhyme, the juice spilt on John's linen. He took it to Elizabeth, Taylor the dry clean, a known seamstress who was scheming on Al's green. You know they shoot for the stars and buck wild, like the kids in the yard who played with James Chow. A beautician lace, Erica's bad dude. Sean combed through the evidence just to get a clue. The needle in the haystack from out of Earth's kit. Knew a tiger would kill him once thrown in Brad's pit. Jesse owned the money for the weed, Bubba Spark made his journey seem far as he walked in Dick Clark's. Jeffrey's line stuck with a thorn from George Bush. Paul pierced in the heart as the crowd pushed, acting alone. Drew buried more bones of the victims 3 blocks from Jim's brownstone. They shared the same bowl, caught Natalie's cold. The producer threw the butter on Esther's roll. Nipsey rustled him down, got his jaw wired in an instant. Brooke shields him from the gunfire. Angie stoned him to death with those vocals. Keep sweat from the workout just from running local. Larry's bird flew out of Nicolas Cage. Joe text messages from Satchel's page. Betty write letters with ink from Sean's pen. Infinite bars, you couldn't tell where the song end. Glenn close enough to quickly dub the tapes. Richard Gere ripped while he was climbing Bill Gates. He was a southerner, posing as a native New Yorker. But Jason Kidd took his first steps in Jimmy's Walker. He stayed online, chatting with rap celebs. Used Bernie's Mac to search Veronica's web. It cost him their life for the advice she gave. Now Pete Rose lay on Vanessa's red grave.
Well, it has been a definite loss of business here in this particular store and throughout this area. We're down about 43% in this particular store, and this is just about the same story in any store that you do go in within this block or even this section of the city.
Are they putting up trees and decorating their houses?
No, very few of them. The ones that I have talked to that are against Black Christmas, they say, well, I'm going to put a tree up, I'm going to put it right in my front window, but next to that tree, I'm going to have a shotgun.
We're going to cooperate with the law enforcement officials in assuring that all people have the right to shop when, where, and for what they choose without fear or intimidation. Last, but definitely not least, we denounce Black Christmas as being absurd, racial, and not corresponding with Christmas as taught by the church. We, along with the good citizens of Milwaukee, are going to keep Christmas a religious holiday without racial or political overtones.
This is Mr. Tom, are you rolling? This is Tom Randolph, manager of the Badger Paint Store, 2700 block of Teutonia.
That's right.
Is that how you said it?
Yes.
Mr. Randolph, what's been your experience because of Black Christmas this year?
I feel everybody has their right beliefs and so forth, but it's not right either to hurt kids in particular. This is what Christmas is for, is youngsters.
Isn't there usually a Christmas tree out here in front of your store down in the corner?
Yes, probably half block down. Every year in the past we've put up a Christmas tree, and this year we've been told by the Commandos in so many words not to put it up or else it'll be burnt down. So of course we went ahead and took their heed.
So the Commandos have been, at least indirectly, threatening the merchants as well as the shoppers, huh?
That's right, yes. Now there again, they haven't come around to the stores and said, well, don't put up any Christmas decorations or else the windows will be broken, nothing like this. But anything with a Christmas theme, they don't want us to do this.
Can you give me a specific example of how your business has suffered here?
Well, this last Saturday, which is the second Saturday before Christmas, which is usually a pretty good Saturday. Well, last year at this time, we did $1,300 on that one particular day. Well, this year, on Saturday, we did $300. So this would be a definite example of how it's been hurting us and everybody else.
Why don't I just start with the questions you made?
You rolling?
I'd like to ask how this operation to combat Black Christmas is going to work. How are you going to accomplish it?
We have several ideas in mind that we hope to accomplish, and we hope to get rid of the fears in the city. This is the biggest problem, it seems, is a fear. Through our planning, we hope this will eliminate the fears that are in Milwaukee as far as something happening to people shopping, something happening to them on the avenue or in any shopping center because of certain threats or certain environmental situations of marches by Father Groppi and company. We hope we can eliminate these fears.
What specifically do you have in mind?
One, there will be members, the Deacons of Defense, and the Milwaukee Citizen Civic Voice, approximately 10 people from each group on the avenue, Monday through Saturday, to aid and assist any shoppers that feel they are being intimidated or harassed in any manner. We will have white armbands with Merry Christmas written on them, and we invite any shopper or person that feels he is being harassed to contact one of us immediately, and we hope to take care of the situation at that time. We feel some people might be afraid themselves to go to the police and say this has happened. We might act as a spokesman in between, and this way their name will not have to be involved if there is such a fear of somebody coming to their home and starting trouble for them.
Mr. Bernhagen, you think if this kind of an atmosphere does exist, the fact that you're there, the deacons are there, this is going to encourage people to come down and shop anyhow? I mean, if they have to go through this kind of a problem.
We feel it will be no problem. We won't be in their way. We'll just be strolling the avenue, and we can't figure out why the businessmen themselves haven't thought of this before, or maybe they feel it's not a good idea to have individuals on the avenue, maybe in plain clothes. So the stories of shoppers having packages taken away from them, these stories won't happen because there'll be people there, and if some package is taken away, we'll be around to see that no harm has come to these people.
Do you know of any specific case at all when anybody has been harassed or intimidated in downtown streets while shopping?
There are no people that are willing to file complaints. You can ask the police department this. There are no people that will stand up and say this has actually happened. I will not mention any names, but this has actually happened. 2 people in the area, but they will not file a complaint, a written complaint to the police department because of fear. Maybe if we can act as the in-between people, we can eliminate this fear. They might be more easy for them to contact us and say this has happened, and then we can go ahead and contact the police and have them take care of it.
Who have committed these acts of harassment?
Yes, we believe so.
Mr. May, do you think that Negro businessmen as well as white businessmen have been hurt by this Black Christmas atmosphere?
They certainly have. I'd say more so than the white businessmen.
You know of any specific examples
Well, I know of many Negro businessmen here whose business has been hurt since this intimidation is there. We know it's there. The whole community knows it's there. And we have, the Deacons for Defense has worked to combat this fear. We have talked to the people. We've tried to encourage them to get on out shopping in large numbers. And then if there is anyone that's going to intimidate them, make them force their hand so we can get this thing over with. But it's right now, it's just a fear. The people are afraid to shop. They're afraid to put up their Christmas lights. And then they're afraid even though they don't do it. That was the truth.
Mr. May, the Deacons of Defense initially were supporting the NAACP Youth Council and Father Groppi. Why are they taking this turn now?
No, the Deacons for Defense, we stand for right and wrong, you see. If we think that Father Groppi is right, we support him. We support the Commandos. But most of all, the Deacons stand for the people as a whole. As a whole. Now, there is fear throughout this whole community, all of the Negro people. And I'd say if you're white and living in the inner core, there is that fear. So the Deacons for Defense wants to work with the people overall, collectively.
But isn't this a change in the original philosophy of the Deacons who started out in Louisiana, that was to protect the marches or the civil rights demonstrators before?
Now, the reason for the Deacons in front was to eliminate fear. This was the reason in front, you see. For the marchers, now the Deacons marched around, they are still there, around the homes. The Deacons didn't stop at just the marches. They patrolled the neighborhoods at night. This is what stopped the bombings in the South and the burning. And now we got the same thing again. Here is just a little turn to it, just a little twist, just a little change of color, but we got the burnings and the fear being instilled in the people.
It's not really a little change at all, is it? Now you're talking about Negroes intimidating other Negroes rather than Klansmen.
This is what we have here now.
Well, that's a major change, isn't it? Not a little change.
Yeah, this is you could call it a major change, but this is what we have now. Fear throughout this community. Everybody's afraid to enjoy Christmas, to have a Merry Christmas. In other words, you eliminated Merry Christmas is out now.
You're opposed to the idea of a Christmas boycott by Negroes?
I'm opposed to people being told how to enjoy their Christmases. I figure Christmas is as far as the boycotting is concerned, we had the same problem 2,000 years ago. When Christ was born, there was no room in the inn, so he was born in a stable. So when Christmas comes, people want to enjoy Christmas in a tradition, in its tradition.
Do you find it difficult to form an alliance with NAACP, who has a closed open house? And hasn't the position of the Deacons of Defense been in favor of open housing?
Well, like I say, the Deacons for Defense, we, on this open housing business, we don't take sides on this one way or the other. Our problem is the fear that's in the neighborhood. Now, the Deacons, we will stand for open housing. We are for open housing, but we're not for this fear that's generated throughout the community.
Mr. May and Mr. Bernhagen, can you foresee the possibility under this plan you've announced where, first of all, a Negro deacon may have to fight a battle on the street with a Negro vandal or purse snatcher or boycotter or whatever,
Or commando.
to protect, or commando, your word, to protect a white shopper?
I do not think that there will be any trouble with the Commandos at all. I don't think in that term. There are other elements, destructive elements here. It's not the Commandos who will take advantage of this situation, say to grab a bag to make a little something. You know the Commandos are going to get blamed for it. And this will allow thugs, muggers, everything else. So I can snatch up a little something for Christmas. And the Commandos take the blame for it. These are the people you got to watch out for. I don't think there'll be anybody out there with black sweaters at any time.
But you are both willing to have your people in a situation where this kind of street fight could break out to protect the shopper.
Yes.
You also.
To the Black Christmas,
The Black businessmen from the boycott, instead, shop at the stores owned by Black businessmen.
well, our position still stands as to alleviate our people from this fear. Now, this is what we don't want. I have talked because I have lived with this fear before. And once people began dictating to you, they don't stop at a Black Christmas. You'll have a Black Mother's Day. You'll have a Black everything that they want you to have. Once you let them get the point through, if they make this point, they'll push others down our throats.
Other than just the Christmas.
Perhaps, but right now our main issue is Black Christmas.
Mr. Bernhagen, do you blame Father Groppi for this Black Christmas altogether? Is it his movement, his actions that have created the problem?
The Commandos, I believe, and the Youth Council were the ones that initiated the program of Black Christmas, so I would have to blame them.
How serious is it hurting the economic life of Milwaukee? How successful have they been?
I believe they've created a fear. I believe if you talk to downtown businessmen as well as North Street or any other place that they have been, people are afraid to shop, or as they are marching by, they're afraid to come out of the stores. And if they see them around, they wish not to shop there. They'll shop someplace else. Mayfair was demonstrated. They had demonstrators out there in Mayfair. So people think, well, Mayfair is a place that they might come any night that they're shopping. And if they have little children along and babies, and this is no atmosphere I'm sure that anyone would want their children in. I can't blame them for not coming down there.
Mr. Bernhagen, who was responsible for your organization and the Deacons getting together? Whose idea was it? How did it come about?
Mr. Stribling was the gentleman who